Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, baseball fans and history buffs, welcome to this special presentation of the Big Game James Show, presented by ThinkSlinger.org. And now, presenting your most whimsical host, Big Game James.
All right, welcome to today's program, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about rules and quirks of baseball, namely 10 of them. And welcome back to the program. This is your host, Big Game James. Thanks for that introduction, Sean Johnson. You can catch him over on WRBH in his interview show. Anyhow, let's get right to it. Every sport has its quirks, especially when it comes to the rules, and baseball is no different. Every so often, when watching a game or a highlight reel, we see one of those really bizarre rulings that sends our mind into a tailspin. You know the type. The play that has you yelling blue murder at the umpires because they don't know what they're doing. Well, what I want to share with you today is a sort of top 10 strange rule quirks, or rather just strange rules in general, that I have either seen with my own two eyes or thanks to the power of the internet and all of that hard work and research that I do, or you've read about it. These are 10 of those. Not every item on this list is a rule per se. No, that would be just a little bit too dull. Some are just idiosyncrasies in the game that the rules allow for. At the risk of those idiosyncrasies and my reader mailbag bursting to the seams with emails saying that I've either missed this or gotten them wrong, and this also goes for the future. A little caveat is in order. This list isn't meant to be comprehensive, complete, or it's not meant to be authoritative. I only sound authoritative. All right, so a bit of research will reveal myriad obscure rulings that are all entertaining in their own way. All I hope to do is enrich or maybe teach you one thing that maybe you didn't know about our national pastime. So enough of the guff. In no particular order, let's get cracking on the putative top 10. And I'm going to start with ground rule triples. Well, technically, that's not quite correct. A ground rule is governed by the unique characteristics of the field. For instance, Wrigley Field comes to mind. A ball that gets lodged in the vines by the fence is an automatic ground rule double. However, a ball that bounces before skipping over the fence, while commonly referred to as a ground rule double, is in fact just a two-base award. So what about that ground rule triple I mentioned? Well, there's several ways that this can happen, and you almost never see either at the major league level. One is if a player deliberately touches the ball with his hat or mask, that is, tries to catch it, for instance, or two, if a player deliberately throws his glove at the ball. That is, he takes his glove off and throws it at the ball while it's fair. Since neither of these correspond to unique characteristics of the field, it isn't really a ground rule triple, but rather a three-base award. But that's not the end of the story. If you believe what you read on the internet, legend has it that a ground rule triple is possible at only one park, and that would be Fenway Park. On the Green Monster, there is a ladder that groundskeepers use to retrieve home run balls. Although the netting has gone, the ladder remains, and it is this, if hit, that yields the mysterious ground rule triple. Sadly, this is a case of where you certainly should not believe what you read online. I mean, maybe Abraham Lincoln wrote that this rule is true. It's simply, let's just cut the chase. The rule is just not true, not at Fenway Park. Or if it is, it certainly doesn't make it into Major League Baseball's official ground rule list. In fact, the ladder has only been hit twice, and on both occasions, the batting team score an inside the park home run, which is much better than a triple. So the ground rule triple, the only way to actually score one of these, or rather a 3-base award, is if a fielder takes his glove or his hat off and uses it to either stop the ball or pat the ball down, hit it, catch it, impede the ball's progress, what have you. That is the only requirement for a ground rule triple. And an inside the park home run, well, all you have to do is hit that ladder at Fenway Park. Number 2, did you know that there are 23 ways to get a man, any man, on first base? I won't bore you at this time with a list of all 23, but they range from the obvious, such as a hit or a force play, to the esoteric, such as deploying a pinch runner for a man already in first, to the downright odd, such as failure to pitch within 20 seconds, or for illegal pitches. That is, if the catcher is caught being out of the box. Perhaps the most bizarre, if there is a runner on first when the game is suspended. If this runner then gets traded prior to the makeup, a new player is allowed to take his place without the roster implications of using a pinch runner, thereby reaching base. Oh, what the hell? I lied. Let me give you a list of all 23 ways that a man can get on first base. I would like to thank ahead of time ESPN.com for this list. You can walk, intentional walk, hit by pitch, dropped third strike, failure to deliver pitch within 20 seconds, catcher interference, fielder interference, spectator interference, fan obstruction, fair ball hits ump, fair ball hits runner, fielder obstructs runner, pinch runner, fielder's choice, force out at another base. Preceding runner put out allows batter to reach first. Sack bunt fails to advance runner. Sacrifice fly dropped. Runner called out on appeal. An error for illegal pitches, a single, and game suspended with a runner on first. That player is then traded prior to the makeup game, and a new player is allowed to take his place. I hope that's enough for you. So next up we have base running assistance. You can find this by reading Rule 5.10, which states, if an accident to a runner is such to prevent him from proceeding to a base to which he is entitled, as on a home run hit out of the playing field or an award of one or more bases, a substitute runner shall be permitted to complete the play. This can result in some interesting base running scenarios. Some of you just might recall the Red Sox and Blue Jays game back in September of 2005. Let's see here. The exact date is actually September the 14th, 2005, where with Gabe Kapler on first, Tony Graffinino homered. However, while rounding second base, Kapler had ruptured his Achilles tendon, and he tried to get up, but he couldn't continue. Ball players came over to check on him. Graffinino correctly remained 10 feet or so behind Kapler, knowing that if he passed him, the home run would be struck from the record, and Kapler would be out, and Graffinino would have to stay on second. After a 5-minute delay, the then manager, Red Sox manager, Terry Francona, invoked this rule, 5.10, to put in a substitute runner, in which he placed Alejandro Machado in for Kapler. The home run was eventually completed, and Boston was awarded 2 runs, a 2-run homer, the really long way, I suppose. An interesting variation would have been if Graffinino had been injured and a pinch runner had scored his run. Would Graffinino have been credited with the home run? The rules aren't so clear to answer this on a postcard, so to speak. So incidentally, the rules would have also allowed Graffinino to give Kapler direct assistance. In the above instance, there is nothing in the rules to prevent Graffinino from pushing or lifting Kapler around the bases himself, as long as he doesn't actually pass the runner. Let's go to number 4. A triple play without the ball touching a fielder. Okay, this is one of those not necessarily rule per se's that I mentioned in the opening, but rather it's a composition of a range of rulings. Again, there is some debate as to whether a triple play without the ball touching a fielder is an urban myth or not. While it might be technically possible, it certainly hasn't happened, nor is it likely to. But the theory goes like this. Say there are runners on first and second with no outs. The batter hits a fair ball that can be fielded by one of the infielders. He is out by the infield fly rule, even if no one touches the ball. Then the crazy stuff really starts. The runner on first passes the runner on second, so the runner on first is out due to Rule 7.08, which forbids a runner from overtaking another on the base path. That's 2 outs. The runner at second is then struck by the batted ball as it lands. Take another look at 7.08 as it covers a whole host of base running situations. There we have it. There's 3 outs and no fielder has touched the ball. The Mariners, let me make sure I have my date correct. I believe this was in 2008. 2008, the Mariners somehow hit into a triple play on September 2nd of that year while at Tampa Bay, without a ball being put into play, rather. Well, you wonder, how did that happen? It wasn't easy. Raul Ibanez got called out on strikes for the first out. Adrian Beltre got nailed stealing second for the second out. Then Jose Lopez bolted for the plate and got thrown out at home for the third out. Try that one on your Xbox next time. The joys of creative thinking and, more importantly, critical thinking. Let's move on. Let's move on to balks. This is our number 5 crazy, quirky rule, balks. As you know, the balk is one of those slightly arcane rules that few probably understand. A balk is a penalty charged against a pitcher for deviating from the legal pitching motion while a runner is on base. It can occur either on a pitch or on a throw to a base during a pickoff. There are 15 ways to balk. I'll just run through a few. You can go to ESPN.com or even baseballreference.com and find all 15 ways. But here's a couple that are fairly interesting. Number 5 on that list, the pitcher steps or feints from the rubber to first base without completing the throw. That's the one that most people know about. What about after beginning to pitch, the pitcher interrupts his motion? Again, you might have known that one, but what about those pitchers who have a delayed motion? How do they get is consistency the factor here? Another one begins to pitch while the catcher is out of the catcher's box when giving an intentional walk. So you would get called for a balk if, say, the catcher stands up to receive an intentional walk pitch or an intentional ball and you turn around and fire something down the middle. I've always wondered why that doesn't happen, and there you have it, folks. That's why it doesn't happen, is because if it did happen, the pitcher would be charged with a balk. And I'm going to name one more. The pitcher can receive a balk if he stands on or astrides the rubber without the ball or mimics a pitch without the ball. This rule came into play as a response to the old hidden ball trick. You should know about that one. But in case you were wondering, you haven't seen it in some time in a major league game, there you have it. Because if you do it, it's a balk. All of these rules, which would constitute a balk, are slightly esoteric, but perhaps the most bizarre is number 8 on this list, which I intentionally did not leave or read. When the pitcher drops the ball while on the rubber, such a situation actually occurred in Phoenix on April 19th, 2006, when Matt Cain was on the mound for the Giants. Gonzalez was at third, Clark at first, and Estrada was at the plate. Cain dropped the ball as he leaned in to get a sign from the catcher, Matheny. Gonzalez ended up scoring, and Cain apparently thought a timeout had been called, but the ump got the call obviously spot on. It didn't matter anyway because the Giants lost that one convincingly 10-3. Number 6. Here's another